What's up, guys? Vital Syntax here, and what do you think Battlefield 4 will be like on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4? Well, we're probably not going to know for sure until E3, which is just a couple weeks away, where Battlefield is going to be showing off some Battlefield 4 multiplayer gameplay and hopefully answering a lot of the questions that we have and giving us more details about Battlefield 4 and how it's going to run and look on the next generation of consoles. Now, don't worry, Battlefield 4 is also coming out on the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 and obviously the PC as well. But I think this is going to be a very big year as far as upgrades go. I think we're going to see a lot of gamers moving towards the next generation of consoles, moving towards a PC platform, or moving towards the Steam box, which we haven't seen much about lately. And I think there's going to be a very big audience that isn't playing on the previous generation of consoles. But if you are going to be one of those people, don't worry, Battlefield 4 will be available. Although I've heard cross-platform play will not be. If you're on the Xbox One, you're not going to be able to play with people on the Xbox 360. And if you're on the PlayStation 4, you're not going to be able to play with the people on the Xbox or on the PlayStation 3. Now, that hasn't been confirmed for Battlefield, but I've heard that's the case with a lot of other games. Now, there are some speculations and there's an idea of what we can gather of what Battlefield 4 will be like. You know, the player count is one of the things that a lot of people have been talking about is going to be hopefully increased to 64 players, which is what the PC platform has been running with for a while if you're playing something like Conquest Large. Whereas the previous Battlefield titles on the previous generation of consoles, or the current generation of consoles I should say, run with 24 players. And that completely changes the way the game is played. And maybe we will even see an increase beyond 64. Maybe they'll jump to 128 players or somewhere in between 128 and 64. And as long as they balance the maps and have good map design, you know, fix any of the other issues that arise like spawn trapping, spawn protection, there could be some potential in having a higher player count than 64 players. And it completely changes the way Battlefield 3 plays and how it feels, and I'm sure it's going to feel just the same on Battlefield 4. So I would really hope that they can bring that higher player count to the next gen of consoles. The next question, and this is a big one, is how it's going to perform. Not necessarily how it's going to look, but I mean, I'm sure it's going to look amazing, right? But how's it going to perform? Are we going to be talking at 1080p native resolution, 720p native resolution, 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second? Well, once again, we might not know until E3, and they might even announce it at E3, although that's something that I would definitely look for because it's a pretty key aspect of how it's actually going to perform. And I would personally love it if they gave us the option between the two. Maybe play the single-player campaign at 30 FPS at 1080p, and then when you're jumping into multiplayer, play at 60 frames at 720p. Because you have to look back at the previous Battlefield titles. They've run at what's at 702p, which is 702 vertical pixels, at 30 frames per second, and they're upscaled. So whatever, you know, size resolution TV you're playing on, whether that's a 720p screen, a 1080p screen, or even a 4K screen, which I don't know very many people with 4K monitors that are playing on a console. It's upscaled, so they actually just scale it and stretch it to fit to whatever screen size you're using. And if they're going to be increasing the polygon count, the lighting effects, the physics, the animations, the textures, if they're going to be increasing all that stuff and making the game actually look more beautiful, then they're also going to have to choose between increasing the resolution and increasing the frame rate, which are also two other huge key factors in performance and the actual look and feel of the game. Now, Call of Duty Ghosts, they already announced that it's going to be running at 60 frames per second. They haven't announced the resolution, and I kind of doubt that they will, because if it's anything below 1080p, then people are probably going to complain about it. But I would think it'd be awesome if they gave us the option to choose between the two. That way you could, you know, in multiplayer, choose the higher frame rate that's going to give you a little bit more responsiveness. Things are going to look smoother. You're going to be able to see motion a lot more clearly, hopefully identify enemy targets, and you're also going to be able to aim hopefully a little more accurately because you're getting twice as much information per second than what you would be getting with 30 frames. So aside from increasing frame rates and resolution and graphics in general, and aside from increasing player count, what other things do you guys want to see on the next generation of consoles for Battlefield 4? Do you guys want to see more vehicles? Do you guys want to see a player count that goes above and beyond 64 players? Do you want to see bigger, larger maps? Do you want to see online split screen so you can have two people playing on one console online like you can with the Halo series on the Xbox 360? There's so many things that they could do with Battlefield 4 with the next generation of consoles that I'm kind of curious what people want to see. I'm sure Battlefield, the developers, DICE, are quite curious as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that they're already working on. But anyway, that wraps up this video talking about Battlefield 4 and how the next gen consoles are going to affect this franchise. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to give me a like or a favorite. Remember to subscribe for more Battlefield coverage as well as much of the E3 stuff I'll be doing quite soon. And I'll see you guys in the next video.